Your stream is anxiety.
We did that already.
Oh, okay.
And we're
Take it
live.
Schwooty, get that booty.
Yep. All right, so we are live with Mind Games. Woo. Hey, postcards just followed. Thank you for the follow. Cool.
That's fucking hot.
He came right in on time. So today we're going to talk about anxiety, and we have a guest with us, very dear and close to me. This is my friend Nathan, longtime friend growing up.
Glad to be here.
Man.
Glad I could share my experiences with everybody.
Good.
Before we get started, how's everyone doing tonight?
Doing well. It's the same shit, man. Like nothing has changed. It's been the same shit since 6 months ago, ever since we got quarantined.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, you're still working, Nathan. So I mean, you haven't really
Yeah,
been
that's true.
quarantined anyway.
Wait, like, are you actually working right now, or just in general, you're still working?
I've essentially been full time this whole time.
Okay.
I got off for like 3 weeks or something, but basically, for everyone, I guess nobody watching knows. I guess who I am. So I work for the Department of Infectious Diseases.
Right.
At UGA. So basically, all we did was finish up what we were working on, and then just switch to COVID. So I've been working on that for weeks and weeks now. So I go in, and I mentioned I shower a lot. It's because I have to do that when I come out of like the hot areas. So like not much really for me has changed that much.
Right.
Yeah.
So Don tells me you're pretty familiar with the feelings of anxiety and panic.
Yeah, and it took me a really long time to accept that that's what it was, because
Right.
it can come in. Yeah, I see you snickering over there. Because he told me that's what it was, but like at the same time, like it's hard to pin down because you can feel so many different ways.
Well, what did you think?
Like, I thought that there was something physically wrong with me. To be completely honest.
And
Right.
that's like one of the first like times people realize they have a panic attack. They think it's a heart attack and they go to the hospital, and then the doctors end up like hooking them up and being like, nah, man, you're fine.
Well, see, that was the thing. When I was 17, I had not 17. When I was 18, I had a weird heart condition that I was born with, but it didn't come out until then. And so I kept having these like attacks where my heart would speed up to like over 100 times a minute, and I could just be hanging out or at work or something.
Right.
And so, but they're short-lived. Like, it's not really like that dangerous of a condition because it'll just click on then click off again.
Right.
But by the time I would get to the hospital and they would check me for something, it would be over. Like, I'd be freaking out still, so my heart rate would be high, but they would be able to, everything, they'd hook me up to everything and be like, yeah, I mean, your heart's beating fast, but everything, like, the EKG and all the lines look fine. Right. So later, after like I quit dipping and stuff, and like I wasn't really drinking as much anymore, all this panic started to come in, and I used to dip like a can a day.
Right.
So like that tied into when my anxiety first started, which was like right after college. When you're in college, it's a lot easier to have like a low key like mentality towards things. It's fine that I don't have any money right now. I'm in college, not working that much. It's not a big deal, it's just part of being in college. But then after I graduated, it started to feel like I was having trouble swallowing a lot, or like there was a lump in my throat. And having dipped a can a day for X number of years, and then drinking beer a lot, like I was like, oh shit, like I need to go to an ear, nose, and throat doctor. And I even like it would come in waves and stuff, and like a lot of it was really just acid reflux from like when I go to bed at night, like it would just come up and agitate my throat.
Right.
But it doesn't feel that way, and that like based on my other experience, I assumed the worst and wanted to get it checked out. So like I even went to the hospital on 2 different occasions and did what's called a barium swallow, And that shit is gross. Basically, they X-ray your neck while you swallow barium fluid. Yeah, it's like white and chalky, but it'll completely illuminate your esophagus to show if there is anything in there. And they didn't find anything. And eventually, it got so bad to the point where, like, after I moved to Denver, like, it got better for a while, but then it got worse again. So I actually went and had an upper GI endoscopy where they snake your throat down into your stomach with a camera, and that shit was unpleasant. And they did not give me enough. What's that drug? Fentanyl to like really put me down. But like, and that was all part of the thing. It was that same common. It feels like there's a lump in your throat, or like that fear that your throat might shut, which just adds like layers to it. And it takes a really long time to, like, after I had my upper GI endoscopy and they found nothing, all that kind of anxiety was gone. Because I was shown, like, empirically, which was also convenient because at the time I worked in a medical lab in Denver, and the samples went to my workplace. So I was actually able to check the next day whether or not they were, if there was anything wrong before the doctor got back to me. So, like, literally being, like, completely exposed and shown that there was nothing wrong made that anxiety go away. And then it would manifest in other ways.
Right.
So it's really, like, that's what I mean. It's just really hard to pin down because it can hit you in, like, so many different kinds of ways. And, like, after I moved to Denver, a lot of times the kind of anxiety we'd have would be I'd get really lightheaded or really dizzy, like, just randomly. But the thing that was weird about it was it could be, like, if I got too overexcited, that might give me an anxiety attack because I was just so stoked on something. My brain's going, like, full speed, and then all of a sudden you just don't feel okay anymore.
Right.
Or the annoying thing about it too was that, like, you could be relaxed. Like, I remember one time in particular, like, which also seemed really strange. Like, why would you have an anxiety attack when you feel relaxed? Like, I was going, like, we just come back from doing, like, a really long hike. It was hard. We'd had a lot of fun, and then got in the car, drove for like 5 minutes, and bam, like, anxiety attack. And we were, like, out in the country. It's not like there were tons of cars around. It's just like, all of a sudden I just feel like I can't breathe, or like I'm not breathing enough.
Right.
Yeah, and I remember at some point I took a picture from the DSM and was, like, highlighting symptoms to be like, dude, you're like, this is what's going on.
It's true, man. But like I said, I never really felt like an anxious person, and I think a lot of that was because I did used to dip a can a day. So going through all these same daily things, I was, like, not medicated out, but, like, I was kept in a calm place constantly where, like, little things like talking to another person wouldn't make me feel lightheaded, or I wouldn't randomly just feel like, oh my God, I'm not breathing enough. Like, I need to work on that. But, like, hey, it's not a fun ordeal to go through, but, like, once you kind of accept that that's, like, what's really going on, it's a lot easier to deal with.
So when Don told me you were coming on and he was telling me some of the struggles that you were having, I was actually pretty excited to have you on, because over the past 5 months, I was also going through health-related anxiety too. And I pretty much thought that there was something wrong with my heart. I was convinced. My mind convinced everything about me that I was having a heart attack. That I was actually, there's something wrong with my heart. Like, there's some blockage somewhere. It's all happening up here. And until I started to do research, I'm not talking about just looking up articles about my symptoms, not doing Dr. Google, which we'll talk about in a little bit, because there's some shit that I want to clear up when it comes to Googling stuff and why it's a bad thing. But I actually researched The vagus nerve. Because I follow this
Yep.
Facebook group, and I came across some content, some videos through some doctors discussing the vagus nerve. And every time I came across the vagus nerve, I heard something like, here's an anxiety hack to stimulate your vagus nerve. You want to, blow on your thumb really hard, or you want to do something that stimulates the vagus nerve, such as doing deep breaths.
What?
So,
First, sorry. What the fuck is the vagus nerve? I'm not
I'm surprised
familiar.
you don't know the vagus nerve.
I'm not familiar with this.
okay, so the vagus nerve is connected to the pituitary gland.
Okay.
So your pituitary gland talks to your
Yeah.
medulla, and that's why you're able to move out of the way of car. So you understand this concept. So your vagus nerve is the longest running nerve in your entire body. It goes from your brain all the way down to like your legs. It's the biggest, longest running nerves in your body. It controls your blood pressure. It controls your heart rate. It controls your digestive system, and it's your main central nervous system. And it's very, very important.
It can definitely mess with you.
Yes.
In certain ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the biggest ways, and the reason I was so attentive on what I was eating is because one of the things that fuck with your vagus nerve is your gut microbiome. VAGUS. There you go. Yeah. So your gut microbiome can affect your highway because your vagus nerve is like a pretty much a highway for chemicals and hormones and things like that. So whenever you do get anxious, signals are being sent up and down your vagus nerve to suppress any kind of anxiety, anxious feelings, and so forth. So when your vagus nerve is dysregulated, there's nothing that's being sent to your brain to calm it down. In order for you to do that, you have to manually do it. So that's why they're talking about a lot of coping skills. Now, I'm convinced that a dysregulated vagus nerve and anxiety disorder are very closely correlated with each other. There's something along the vagus nerve that is affecting your anxiety. Now, I don't think it's 100% your vagus nerve. I think it's 50-50. 50% your vagus nerve, 50% cognitively as well, your mindset. So in order for you to actually get rid of your anxiety. So I'm curious. My next question for you is, I know you mentioned it, but how you said you got rid of it by going to the doctor and they gave you pretty much a negative, like a you're fine check off, and then you're okay. But then you said it happened again, right?
So I did the 2 barium swallows when I lived in Virginia, and it got better because I left my job, which was like super stressful. At the time, I was a restaurant manager, so I worked like 60, 70 hours a week. Like, that's why another reason why like I just dip constantly, because it just helped me like keep going and stay calm, because that was like the worst job ever. And so that didn't help. It made a lot of the issues like worse. Like not sleeping enough, just all that stuff together. Like, I don't know if you've gone to the doctor for like anxiety and stuff like that, but like the first thing they ask you usually is, how are you sleeping? Did you get enough sleep? Like, are you able to relax? And just take that time to yourself where like you can just essentially just be calm, and back then I really wasn't. And but so like the barium swallows showed that there was like no enlargement basically, but it wasn't a fine picture. So when it came back later, I was like, this can't just be acid reflux. Like it seems like too intense for that, I guess. And so that was when I went to a doctor. I was like, look, I've had these other things. I still feel like there's something wrong. Can we please do this? And they said, okay,
right.
We'll set up a date. And I was actually able to look at the pictures of my esophagus and my stomach. And they said, it looked great. Your stomach's nice and pink. I said, that's great, man.
Yeah.
And then after that was when I felt good for a while. Then the anxiety comes back. It finds ways to come back that affect you differently, like physiologically, mentally.
Right. So from my understanding, why your anxiety likes to come back, anxiety, the most frightening part of anxiety, the reason it comes back and the reason it lingers is because you fight it. Your anxiety is designed to protect you. Your anxiety is not there to kill you. So your anxiety, when your heart starts beating really fast, that means you're ready to do something. You're ready to fight, right? When you're fighting, that's essentially what it is. It's fear, and it's your fight or flight response, and it's going haywire. Meaning, your body thinks, or your mind is convincing your body that there's something happening right now. So in order for you to combat that, you have to let your body know nothing's happening. Like there's literally nothing happening. And it's happened to me too. All of a sudden, I came back from a walk, I sit down, and then all of a sudden my heart just goes boom, 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 boom. My hands start to get clammy. I start to sweat a little bit. I start to get really hot, and I'm like, oh fuck, you know what I mean? Like my mind starts to go all over the place. But instead of trying to fight it, instead of like, okay, maybe I gotta try to get my heart to stop doing this. I gotta stop doing this, and let me go wash my face. That's fighting against your anxiety. That's further reinforcing that there's something that's going on, that you have something to be scared of. So something that I would do is, as soon as this sounds very, very scary. It sounds very, very terrifying. But when I start to feel an anxiety or panic attack going along, I go spaghetti. I let it happen. So by relaxing your body, you tell your mind, hey, nothing's happening. You're safe. And I promise you, the next time you have another anxiety attack, it's going to be less intense, because you're repeatedly telling your brain, you're repeatedly telling your mind, hey, you're not in any danger. Like, you're fine. There's literally nothing happening right now. So the more you tell your body that, the more you tell your mind that, the less it's going to start panicking. It's going to get to a point where it's like, you're going to feel these sensations. You're going to be like, yeah, whatever. Because you know there's nothing happening.
That's one way to get to that. Another thing that like they suggest, and like I've had clients do, where like if you feel like you can do experiments. So like if you're having symptoms and you feel like, oh shit, I'm having a heart attack, I can't breathe. Try doing some exercise, and you can prove to yourself, no, I'm really not having a heart attack.
Yeah,
I can. I'm serious though. Like that's one of the things they taught us was it's called like the experiment. So
prove
like
yourself wrong, basically.
Yeah, because it's all and there really is a connection between like mind body, and I think that's what a lot of people misconstrue about panic and anxieties. It's always like, I'm afraid of a test result coming in. Sometimes there may not be an active thing that you're worrying about to have a panic attack. It can happen in a calm state, like Nathan was saying, or like an anxious state. Yeah.
Right. So that's something that I've been struggling with over the past few months. And finally, my health anxiety is pretty much gone. I don't worry about these things. I don't panic about these things anymore. I've had sensations. So the only difference is when we feel these sensations, it's not the fact that these sensations are there in the first place. It's just when we're anxious, we notice them. They're always there.
That's a good way to put it too.
Your heart is going to speed up. It's going to slow down. Your body is going to do all sorts of funky shit that you don't understand. But your body is designed to keep you alive. And that's something that I tell myself. My body is not there to kill me. When I have an anxiety attack, when I start to feel anxious, when I feel my body skip a beat, when it starts to palpate, I know that it's doing what it needs to do to accommodate to whatever it is that I'm doing. When you go out and you take a run, what's your heart going to do? It's going to speed up. It's just how it is. When you lay down, what's it going to do? It's going to slow down. Because you're going to bed. Of course it needs to slow down. It needs to calm your body down. So your heart's going to do all sorts of things. That's going to accommodate to whatever it is that you're doing. So it's going to speed up, it's going to slow down. Sometimes it's going to skip a beat. It's going to misfire sometimes. Palpitations are normal. Someone even wrote in the Facebook group, it was like, oh my God, I was having heart palpitations. I went to the doctors and the doctor told me, surprisingly, people have an average of 20,000 palpitations a day. 20,000 palpitations a day on average. How many do you feel?
I actually have a chronic arrhythmia that it's genetic for all the men in my family. Sure. And it literally, it feels like your heart hiccups or like bursts. Yeah. Like, or quivers. Like, it's a really weird thing. And it used to freak me out a lot. And if you're not used to feeling it, it is really scary. And the first time it ever happened to me, I think it was like midnight, and I was like 12 or 13. And like I got out of bed and like ran down the hall because I was gonna go get my parents. I'm like, no, you're okay. Then I asked my dad about it the next day. He was like, oh yeah, it used to bother me too. You'll get used to it.
Yeah, it's palpitations are a lot more common than you think. They're pretty common. Your body's gonna do all sorts of funky shit that's not gonna make any sense to you, but your body's gonna do what it needs to do to keep you alive. So that's something that's good to recite to yourself over and over again. Now, I'm not saying to not be mindful about your health. There's a difference between being mindful about your health and being anxious about your health, right? You want to take a rational approach to everything that's regarding your health. Like, okay, realistically, what's really going on? It's just a sensation. I felt these before. It's not a big deal. right? I've gone to the doctor. They told me there's nothing wrong. There's no reason to further think that there's something wrong. I've been making a lot of dietary changes, not because I want to lose weight, it's because I felt as if my diet was affecting my anxiety. So I took the appropriate measures to change my diet to something that I think is sustainable, something that's a positive change in my life. And the results are great. But the thing that I told myself was, I know I'm taking beneficial steps to improving my health. There is absolutely no reason that it should be declining. If I'm taking positive steps towards a healthier lifestyle, there's no reason that my health should be declining. Like, I can physically see my waist shrinking. I could physically see my face shrinking. There's no reason to think that my health is declining. So that's the rational side of my brain kicking in and saying,
Oh yeah. Gut health, like you were saying, is super important. I did actually go to the ER once after I moved here, and it was because I had a really bad flare-up with that old condition that I had had.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently it's not uncommon for that section. Like, what they did was they went in with catheters and burned just a few millimeters of my AV node, which is like how your heart beats from top to bottom. And they burned off, they stimulated the beat real fast. They found out we were screwing up, and they just like nuked the cells. So apparently it's not uncommon for that to need to be done every 10 years or so, which, yay, but it's not that bad.
Right.
I had a really bad flare up one morning. I was just driving to work, and then all of a sudden, like, it just feels like you can't breathe, and you start to get lightheaded, and then you just feel that. And I got to work. I got to my office, and usually I can just like kind of let it pass, and it won't last for more than like 30 minutes or something. But it just kept happening, and so I was like, you know what? Like, regardless of, I don't think anything's wrong, but I'm going to go to the ER just to be safe.
Right.
And it turned out that my magnesium levels and that my electrolyte balance is on.
Yeah.
And it's just as important, like you were saying, with gut health. I mean, almost all your serotonin is produced in the stomach,
Mm-hmm.
and so on. So, like, when all you eat junk food and shit, and you're not eating enough vegetables, like, dark greens and mineral-rich things, that balance gets off, and it goes more towards non-beneficial bacteria. And that, like you said, can also like greatly affect how you feel mentally. It can make you feel sluggish and just not good.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I know we mentioned earlier about Dr. Google, and I saw your face and we talked about when I mentioned like Googling your symptoms. Did you used to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, geez, after a while, I was like, I have to stop doing this. Like, I'm not helping myself anymore because, like, every time you go on WebMD, you're like, how do I fix a paper cut? And it's like, well, it'd probably help if you didn't have cancer. So we'll start with we'll start with that.
At one point, you texted me and you were like, I think I have this super rare like condition that like 0.01% of the population has, and I was just like, do you remember that?
No, not particularly, but I don't doubt it.
You did. I don't remember what it was, but it was some sort of like really like obscure like super rare thing, and I was like, I don't think you have that, dude. I think that's when I sent you the screenshots that you just have panic issues. I think that's when I did that because I was just like,
hey man, no one likes being shown they're wrong.
That is true.
With words.
That is true. No one likes that.
Facts.
That is true.
But the last time I would say that I went to the doctor because of Dr. Google, I was having a really bad. I do have acid reflux. I do take over the like Prilosec, whatever, and sometimes it does get bad. I have had ulcers before because it literally just gets so bad sometimes. But I do love coffee, man. But it's so rough. Anyway, I was at work and I was having this ridiculous pain, like around where the stomach is, but like maybe a little bit to the left. And like when I would breathe, I'd feel this sharp pain. And then like it kept not going away. And I was like, I'm going to look it up. And you know what comes up first? An inflamed spleen.
Oh, God.
And you know what an inflamed spleen can do? It can rupture and kill you.
Right.
So thankfully, my boss was understanding. And I was like, can I please leave and go to the doctor just to get this checked out? And I mean, it wasn't the first time this had happened. I actually gained a lot of weight because I kept thinking I had low blood sugar. That's why I'm getting lightheaded. That's why I'm getting dizzy. I'm not eating enough. And so I kept overeating, and I got fairly overweight where I like to be. But anyway, so I went to the doctor, and then I told him what was going on, and they they feel around your abdomen. And he's like, I hate to break it to you, but it sounds like you have acid reflux. Like, well, worst case scenario, that's all right. I think
Right.
I think I'd rather have that than a giant inflamed spleen or something.
Right.
And so yeah, like I love the fact that a lot of this information is there, but most of the time it just points you to the worst case scenario, which is not helping where you're at, especially if you're at a point where you're going to be trying to look this stuff up.
That is there is information. When you go and look up certain symptoms, it's there to just inform you. It's not there to diagnose you.
Absolutely.
It's literally pulling up the information that you are searching for. It's not related. It's not necessarily related to you. And most of the times that you look this stuff up, it doesn't apply to you. And one of the things that I noticed when I'm searching Google for anything, you have to look at your resources. You have to look at the sources where it's coming from.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of bullshit sources on there, regardless of where the publication is.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's Newsweek, if someone's writing about COVID, you better be a fucking epidemiologist. You better be some kind of like biochemist. You better have some kind of credential in your name if you're going to be writing about COVID. If you're just some journalist that's pulling information from a bullshit study, writing about it, that is fucking irresponsible. Do not write shit about things you don't understand. Write about things you do understand. But it is really, really irresponsible for someone to write an article about something they know nothing about for the internet to see. And I feel as if for us, when we're on the internet, we have to have some level of responsibility when we are putting anything up there, posting anything. We need to have some level of responsibility. And I feel like a lot of things that you find on the internet are not reliable sources.
Yeah.
I have to agree with that too, especially like I don't know about you guys, but like when I was younger, it seemed like adults knew what they were doing and they had their shit together. And then you get older and you get out in the real world, and then like having worked in the research industry for almost 2 years, like I'm amazed that like most people can put their pants on every day.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's astounding to me like how many roadblocks people put up trying to get anything done. And like half the time, like you said, they don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
Couple things. One, did you know that your anxiety and stress is probably why you have acid reflux and have had ulcers?
It probably has a lot to do with it.
Yeah,
And the fact that like
absolutely. I was going to say,
So.
if you didn't have a history of panic and anxiety issues, I would say, like, obviously everyone with acid reflux don't have anxiety.
right.
But anxiety can reduce the pressure. I have a little article pulled up here. It can reduce the pressure in your sphincter, which can then cause like your stomach and the acid to like leak out.
Okay.
Yeah, as well as like stress responses and anxiety over long term can cause muscle tension, which can affect your stomach, which increases the pressure and then pushes acid up.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, like one thing you might not know, James, is that like my wife moved out like a month ago, Tuesday, so yesterday, and we'd been together for like 10 years as of the second of this month. And I went and got a massage on Monday because like I work out a lot, and I it's like one of the things I do like once a month to treat myself, like helps me my mind relax, like helps loosen me up and stuff. But she got to my shoulders and like she was moving around like my rotator cuffs, which I mean they're problematic in general, like repetitive stress injuries and stuff.
Mine
but
fucked up too, yeah.
yeah, but she actually like stopped and was like, "Did you injure yourself?" I was like, "No, I've just been really, really tense."
Right.
And I was like, "I'm not surprised at all that like they were that bad."
Yeah.
It is really it's just like all that stuff you do subconsciously without thinking about it, like you tense up.
Right.
Like Chris was saying, either like it's really hard. It's really, really hard on the body.
Yeah. No, it definitely is. The other thing I was going to say about the Dr. Google real quick is I once convinced myself that my dog Shaggy was dying and had some sort of horrible cancer based on it was the same sort of idea, but instead of my own symptoms, I was looking up my dog's symptoms. He's fine. He had like bloody stool. And I was like, oh shit, you know.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
I went through like, well, what could this mean? And oh my god, like the huge list of like horrible things that could be wrong. And my conclusion was, well, I'm gonna put him down in a day or two. This was like 5 months
Oh, dude,
ago.
that sucks.
He's fine. It was like 5 months ago.
Yeah, it's
So like clearly he's fine.
come on, man. You've never had bloody stool?
I mean, I have, but it's different reasons.
As long as it's not repetitive,
Yeah.
should be all right.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, I mean, Googling your symptoms is the worst thing you can possibly do. Like relying on online resources is the worst thing you could possibly do. So I recently started going on TikTok because I find it to be entertaining. But there's a certain point where I have to stop because there's just too much bullshit on TikTok. A lot of people on TikTok
there?
are normally like younger folks. It's more catered towards younger folks. You'll find out like a lot of 30-40 year olds and stuff like that on there, but mostly it's a bunch of like kids in their early 20s or teenagers and things like that. And a lot of them like to speak their mind, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with speaking your mind, but speaking your mind from an underdeveloped mind might want to take it with a grain of salt. And so there is this really serious, I don't want to call it a war, but it is kind of a war. So you know how like there are a lot of Instagram influencers and Twitter influencers that are like that are like really into fitness and stuff like that, and they perpetuate a lot of diet culture, like you shouldn't eat this.
It's so toxic, man.
Yeah, and there are actually more and more registered dietitians that are on TikTok that are like debunking all of this stuff. And I've been siding with the registered dietitians, and I was just like, and people were bashing on the registered dietitians because people didn't know that that a nutritionist and a registered dietitian are two different things. Anybody can label themselves as a nutritionist, but dietitians, you have to go to school for it and whatnot.
There's a licensing procedure.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure they do a residency, kind of like how therapists do residencies, doctors do residencies. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't know what other things these people are taking. They're like, half the time, like the diet is just total bullshit, and then they're like, oh yes, but I'm actually also taking clenbuterol, but I'm not going to tell you that.
Right.
I just want to sell you a diet plan that,
Right.
Yeah, or like these
based on this.
Yeah, or like those celebrities that are like, I'm doing this diet plan, look at me now, and they don't explain. I also have a team of 10 people, like personal trainers. I work out 13 hours a day. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's like they were just these nutritionists who were actually telling these dietitians, no, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. It doesn't make any sense. No, you're wrong. And I'm just like, dude, like you're way out of line right now. Like you're way out of your zone at the moment. You like, do you understand what you're doing? Like, do you know who you're arguing against? You're arguing against someone who studies on evidence-based diet. They base their entire practice on evidence-based, whatever you call that, evidence-based practices.
Empirical evidence.
I mean, and there's going to be research articles for all these things.
Yeah.
And like, it's just about going and reading them. Like, if I want to learn about how a supplement works, but I will watch people on YouTube that talk about it, that are obviously have some sense of what they're doing. But if I really want to know, I'm going to go pull up the actual research papers and read what they had to say about it.
Well,
like what a team of scientists says.
Well,
and it's the same thing.
I think the difference, I'm not trying to be a dick to anyone, but I think the difference, and this is going to sound really elitist, and I know we talked about this last episode, and forgive me, I've sinned, really elitist here, but I think the divide also is in education. Like, you're used to going to peer-reviewed research articles in your job and in your education.
Right.
True.
Your average person's not, like, going to do that.
Right.
They don't know how to interpret statistics. Statistics can be confusing. You can also spin them to mean anything you really want them to mean.
Absolutely.
I learned that with like one of my jobs where like I had to take behavioral data from kids with autism and graph it, do different things. And I could make the data look like they were making a lot of progress even if they weren't. if I wanted to. Like if I was getting a kid to mand, which is like basically like, may I have this, right? If they did it like in a minute, if they did it like 5 times, well, we'll say like 30 times in a minute, I can say 50% of the time they manned. That's if I was only measuring in a minute, that's an accurate statement. So I can say throughout the day, 50% of their time spent is manding. That's an increase of, oh my god, they were not doing it at all. But really, I got them in a 1 minute span to ask for the cookie 30 times, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't lying, but I was manipulating the statistics to say what I wanted it to.
Right.
I didn't actually do that, but that's an easy example of how you could take something and make it.
For sure.
Yeah, and people are going to cherry pick and take information that they need that fits their narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's like, but no, like as Don was saying, there is a huge difference in education, and people were making the efforts like, well, you don't need a degree in order to understand this stuff. It's like, you're right to a certain extent. I'm not going to deny that. I'm not saying that you can't learn just as much as someone who's gone to school, but are you learning everything the right way?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, anybody can cook an egg, but wouldn't you rather know how to cook an egg the right way so you actually understand why you cook the egg that way and why it comes out the way that it does?
You cook an egg 20 different ways.
Right.
Would you rather learn how to cook an egg from me? It won't get you sick. It's edible. Or would you rather learn to cook an egg from Gordon Ramsay? Right? Like.
No, you just yell at me.
Probably. Right. He's gotten nicer the older he's gotten. He's gotten much nicer.
He's calming down.
I don't have the energy.
Yeah, he's gotten much nicer.
No, but there is a big difference in education. Like there's a reason, people who specialize in this stuff think the way that they do. There's a reason why they come to the conclusion that they come to.
Mm-hmm.
It's because they're able to take what they've learned and go through the workflow steps in their head to come up with the conclusion that they come up with.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I went to school for public health, and I also went to school for web development. Like I know what the workflow process is like, but if you weren't taught formally, you're going to do a lot of things that's just kind of ass backwards. You may get the same result, but it's going to take you a lot longer to get there, or you might make some mistakes along the way. You're not going to understand why. So being taught formally, there's a reason that you're being taught formally. There's a reason you go to school to learn these things the right way. And I think a lot of people are missing that point. Now, I'm not saying that just because you didn't go to school, you're dumb. That's not what I'm saying. But don't deny people's education. Like they went to school for this shit. There's a reason they understand that they're able to get down to the technical level they're able to get down to. And I'm sorry, just because you post on Instagram of yourself half naked and you look good while doing it doesn't give you the rights to, tell someone else that you can't do what I do. You're not good at what you do. You have no rights to tell them that.
Preach.
Yeah, because it's like you said, or half the time they just do that because they want to sell you something.
Right.
Yeah. Well, so like this one weird thing might work for them because X, Y, and Z in their genetics, and ergo because they look like that, it'll work for everybody. And that's not the case. And I do follow like some people who review these online coaches' diets, and they're like, it's total horseshit. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
It's calories in, calories out. You can't just, eat a candy bar for dinner because they said it was fun. Just because they look half decent doesn't mean that they have any idea what they're talking about.
Right.
Yeah. I mean an example. Yeah, example growing up, and like Nathan can corroborate this. I was a string bean. Like I could not gain weight, and my diet was horrendous. So like I could have, I guess, pitched the Dontoni diet where all you live off of are Pop-Tarts and fried bologna sandwiches. And,
don't you forget the pizza rolls, man.
And the pizza rolls. And you'll be, so
it'll be a 0-0.
Yeah, exactly. It's tasty as hell, Tango. I did live off that for years.
Made Crackers laugh.
Fuck you, Crackers. So Crackers is one of Nathan's birds, and this bird used to always mock me. We'd be playing Siege on Xbox. I would die. I'd be like, damn it, then I'd hear Crackers in the background going, this bird just sit there just fucking mock me the whole time.
it's because he was like near enough to the headset that he could hear you, and so like you just hear an uproar and then it's just.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Damn you,
that made him
crackers.
laugh too.
Yeah, he knows. Yeah, he's reminiscing on old days of torturing me.
That's funny.
Fuck you, crackers. You pretty son of a bitch.
Yeah, but what else were we talking about? Oh yeah, we were talking about, well,
Anxiety, Dr. Google. How
Yeah,
you
we-
shouldn't base anything off what you Google search for symptoms.
yeah, Google search is not a good way. And you actually mentioned a long time ago that going to see a doctor just once is okay, but you don't want, other than that, you don't want to go any more than that.
Who mentioned that? I did?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like the first thing any therapist is going to do is they're going to, same with depression, with anything, a good therapist, the first thing they're going to do is ask you to go to a doctor to rule out any physiological symptoms, like causes.
Right.
Yeah.
Because like for instance, like an underactive thyroid can mimic depression. So
Definitely,
like,
yeah.
and there's a whole bunch of stuff. So like any therapist of sound mind and competency will like say, have you been to a doctor? Like first, like, if a client's an insomniac, you're going to ask them, have you had a sleep study? Have you seen a doctor? Like we want to rule out any physiological cause, because then nothing I do is going to help if it's that your thyroid's underactive. All the talk therapy in the world's not going to cure that. Right. So yeah, so it's always good if you have these sort of things to see a doctor, but maybe after the doctor clears you and you run all the tests, don't keep going back, because then at that point you're wasting resources and money.
You can only get so many blood panels that look fine.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah.
And
But
not
no,
only that,
yeah.
but you're also convincing, like when your anxiety kicks in, you're also convincing that there is something wrong with you to a point where you have to go to the doctor for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like cognitively, you have to tell yourself, "It's like I already went to the doctor. I'm fine." They're like they literally took my blood and told me that I'm fine.
Yeah. I'm a 19-year-old. Chances are I'm not having a heart attack, right?
Right.
Pretty good chance, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, none of
Or,
us
I
are
mean,
19,
yeah.
but yeah.
Pretty good chance of not having.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even at 30,
Yeah.
chances are, I mean, it's possible, but chances are at 30 you're not having a heart attack either. It's possible, but not like.
Unless you still all you ate was Hot Pockets. Full of
Right.
fried
Yeah.
bologna sandwiches.
Yeah, no. Luckily, I got married to someone who cooks well, and I don't live off that anymore, but
Right.
yeah.
But yeah, so I also wrote on there something about toxic social media.
No good.
No. Yeah, I don't know if that really applies to. Actually, no, it does. To
Yeah.
social. So I mean, no, I don't know about you guys, but I don't browse social media to a point where it gives me anxiety, especially when I'm interacting.
I have a client right now that does that, and there's actually a term for this: doom scrolling. Yeah,
It sounds appropriate.
doom scrolling. Yeah, so like literally I'm treating him for panic attacks and generalized anxiety disorder. And he's very liberal.
Well, can I ask you this? How old is he?
He's like 40. He's like,
Oh,
he's
okay.
he's
Really?
about 40. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna guess it was like a
Jesus.
teenager.
Yeah, so he's a gay man, 40, from Tennessee, which I feel bad for him growing up in Tennessee as a 40-year-old gay man. But so he's very liberal and progressive, and he will doom scroll until he gets a panic attack, which is just scrolling through his feed and just going, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god."
Really?
Yeah,
Just-
like
Why would he do that to himself?
because he wants to stay informed and he doesn't trust watching like news.
Yeah.
Like, which is yeah.
So he trusts social media?
Well, because so he follows like there's
Like he's on social media, but he follows news sources or something.
that, and he'll follow specific people who have like on the ground information. So like regarding like the Portland situation and things like that, he'll follow like activists, things like that, and then he'll see like people's responses, and he'll get into like Twitter debates with people. And the next thing he knows, he's in a full-blown panic attack. So we've had to actually limit his Twitter. That was one of the things we've done. Now he's only allowed to be on it for like 10 minutes at a time, like twice a day. Because he would like, and
I think that's good for anything you're doing on your phone, to be honest.
Yeah.
probably I spend way too much time on Twitter. But
So
but also
what if-
all I follow are like Rainbow Six Siege shit. So it's not like
Yeah.
yeah.
It's something you're passionate about more so than like
Freaking you out.
keeping up with current events is important, but like, not to be like, totally negative, but the world's a sucky place, man. There's always something bad going on somewhere. And especially this year. This has literally been like, the world was on fire. We almost had World War III. We have a pandemic. Like,
And,
mean,
and bubonic
world-
plague is outbreaking in China now. China's having to quarantine because of bubonic plague apparently as well.
hasn't the world always kind of been like this?
I think so.
for
This
that.
is not our first plague. This is not our first riot.
Oh no,
The first time celebrities are like dying and stuff like that and having, tragedies. This is not the first time.
but it's like a
Thank you,
once in
Jackie.
100 years thing. Like the last really
Right.
bad outbreak was in 1912.
Sure.
Well, but there was like plagues before that. I mean,
Yeah, of course.
even all the way, if you believe it or not, even all the way to biblical times, whether you actually like believe that shit or not. I mean, there's always been plagues, right? But I think the difference now is we have like in the palm of our hand, we have supercomputers and the access to fucking anything at any time. So we're hyper aware of all the bad shit that's always been going on. We're just hyper aware of it.
Right.
And now that we're in quarantine, we have nothing else to do but fucking watch as the world burns.
Right. And that's the point that I was trying to get at, is the fact that we have information right here. That's the only difference. These things history is repeating itself. This is nothing new to us. This shouldn't be anything new to us. We're just informed that all this shit's going on. So it's just like information overload. So mental health is like worse than it's ever been because we're so informed with all the shit that's been going on. So this and this kind of loops to the beginning of the conversation about, looking at articles and going on and reading about shit because mental health is in the state that where it's at right now. Don't be fucking irresponsible by writing out articles you don't know shit about because it is irresponsible. Mental health is really bad at the moment and you are fear-mongering more and more people because you're writing irresponsible articles. So I read an article recently about COVID and how it is literally, and how COVID is leaving long-term effects on people's hearts. This article is suggesting that people who have had COVID have heart damage, permanent destructive heart damage. And someone posted that article, and I was just like, okay, so doing a test on this is fine, and doing research on this is fine. But first of all, you only used 100 people in your study. You only used 100 people in your study. Half of them are fucking 60 to 80-year-olds who have had it, and the study is incomplete. Like, COVID is literally not over yet, and you are writing articles about COVID and all this other bullshit that is causing to people for a study that's only done with 100 people.
Sample size seems a little small.
How fucking irresponsible is that?
Humans, though, that's actually not, in terms of like this kind of study, that's not a small study.
That's not?
No. Studies with humans might go down to 20 people. So, like, I will definitely agree it's going to be skewed because of, most people's ages are going to play a huge factor in this. They're not going to clear it as fast, and thus it is going to cause more damage. Might it cause heart damage? Right. I don't know. Right. Like I said, from my experience working within a lab, it absolutely causes lasting lung damage. Sure. But, I could see it doing that to the heart, but I'm not going to say anything one way or the other.
So here's the question. So a sample size of 100 people with a brand new disease that there's no other research on yet, is that sample size like statistically significant to like go off of? Because I know like most studies, 20 human subjects may be good, but that's also could be on a condition that's been studied the past 50, 60, 70 years where there's other, you know what I mean, studies to corroborate. Yeah, and other studies to corroborate the findings and replicate.
See, the really big problem with this new virus is because it's really complicated. It shares a lot of the same genetic sections, like DNA sections, as like SARS does, which is why it's SARS-CoV-2. But there's not a whole lot that we really know about it right now. Everyone's scrambling really hard to try and figure all this shit out. So basically, like, having a sample size of 100 is just the best you're going to have. Right. And they're going to, I hate to put it this way, but like, a lot of researchers are shitty. They're going to try and make things seem worse than they are. Right. Or, like you said, Chris, Don, maybe skew the data a little bit because the government is throwing money at all of us to try and figure this stuff out. Like
Right.
the state has given us like you've gotten probably like $1 to $2 million worth of like equipment and supplies and stuff to work on this. And that's the thing. Like if you can show that you've got something, they will throw money at you.
So for anyone who's joining late, our guest Nathan, he came on to talk about anxiety, but he actually he's researching COVID right now with his job. So that's why we're speaking on COVID, because he is the closest thing we have right now to an expert.
I've seen some shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why he can speak with some sort of authority on this.
Right. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't think I just don't think anybody should be writing any articles about like a study that's not really complete. I just don't think like the story, like this isn't over yet.
It's true, but at the same time, it might help in some regard, because in terms of like, oh, okay, well, if it's affecting the heart, well, it might have these characteristics once it's inside of a host organ,
Sure.
which is the biggest problem, because you can only study something so much in a petri dish because it recognizes it's in an environment where nothing's trying to attack. It doesn't need to try and survive. It says, I'm in a place where there's tons of food, I can replicate, and it's not going to be a big deal. But once you throw it into an organism, like it realizes like it's got its markers on its surface, and they're like, oh shit, it's go time. It's time to go incognito and find the areas of the body where it likes to settle. Which in particular, if it's gonna be in the lungs, the pulmonary valves go straight to the heart. So maybe some of it does settle in the heart.
Right.
Like it's just, we don't know.
Right.
So to play devil's advocate to what Color was saying, I agree. I don't like misinformation. Maybe some people need to be scared, even with fake fucking shit, to wear a goddamn mask, right? So maybe a little bit of these studies that are like a little like sensationalized, maybe it's not a big deal, because we need people to be scared and take this shit seriously. I mean, we're still like Virginia, I think, is plateaued last I saw, which is awesome. But we're not declining case. Like our case number is not dropping. I think we've plateaued at the moment.
Do you think that's going to convince people to wear a mask, though?
No. People are going to do what they want to do.
Exactly. People are going to do what they want to do. I just think some of these articles are just fear-mongering.
Absolutely agree.
I think those studies are there for other researchers to look at. I don't think it is there for journalists to look at and decipher. I just don't think it's responsible. I just don't think it is a responsible thing to take a research study that I don't even think is complete yet. I mean, they might feel differently about it, and write it in a manner where it's just scaring people.
Absolutely agree, like 100%. But it's like the old Megadeth song, like "Peace sells, but who's buying?"
Right.
The news will spend 25 minutes talking about all the bad stuff.
Oh yeah.
Because that's what draws other people in. If I was scrolling and I saw an article and maybe I was an older person and said this causes heart damage, I'm like, oh shit, I need to like read this.
Right.
And it's going to get people to the site, and it's going to make that author money.
Yeah.
So like you said, it really is. It's just fear mongering because people. It's like watching scary videos. Like they want to see the bad shit that's going on rather than like the old man who walked 100 miles to raise money.
Right.
Or whatever. And it's like, I don't know, it's the way journalism seems to be.
Oh yeah. By the way, I know they're going to write these articles whether I like it or not, because it does sell and people are going to read it. I just want to bitch about it. That's all.
There you go.
Yeah.
I don't want to complain about it because I think it's irresponsible. And I don't know who hears this, but it is irresponsible. But you're going to write what you want to write because you need to make money. You need your SEO. You need your content. You need all that shit for your platform to thrive. Whatever it is that you need. I'm just saying. If you are watching this and you are a type of person who does write this kind of stuff, just be responsible about it. At least be responsible as possible about it. That's all.
Dude, it makes me think of in the last election when that guy was writing all those fake news articles about like Hillary Clinton having the sex ring at that pizza parlor location outside of DC.
Yeah.
And some dude actually like stormed the place with a gun, like demanding to release the children or sex slaves or whoever was there. Like that dude made hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars off that election. But like after that shit happened, he's like, I may have gone too far.
You think?
But you know, it's the same thing. It's just it's gonna be like playing on people's insecurities, conspiracy theories,
The whole
like,
wager thing and the sex
because everyone's lying to us all the time. So why not trust a rando?
right.
Oh yeah, or like a postcard is saying 5G.
Huh?
Someone in chat mentioned 5G.
Oh, the fucking towers.
Yeah, that's causing COVID or something.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of Brits are like freaking out about it now or something.
Jesus,
Yeah.
that's so dumb. 5G towers are causing COVID.
Well, I mean, obviously, either that or COVID. It's just made up.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to the good old days where we thought diseases were just, having sex with monkeys and stuff, man?
Yeah.
Simpler times. Now it's all like 5G and
Oh man.
yeah.
So last week we talked about our topic was gatekeeping, and I know last week we talked about like condition to being lazy, and I think I brought about a subject that, and my belief is I don't think anybody is really stupid. I don't like to label someone as stupid. I like to label someone as lazy before I label them stupid, because I think
Absolutely.
people come off as lazy. I mean, people come off as stupids because they're too lazy to think. They're too lazy to do critical thinking.
Yeah.
So that's why I always, I hate calling people stupid. I hate calling things stupid. But I just think that, people are just too lazy to think at times. And this is.
So someone who
So just-
believes 5G causes COVID's not stupid in your mind. They're just too lazy to look into the research of what actually causes, and it's easier just to believe something they're told.
Right. Or bother to try to think like maybe someone is trolling me. Or maybe, but like, I mean,
Dude,
mine is what you said. Like, maybe I should look into the research to see if it's true or not.
it's like one of the heads of the Flat Earth Society
Right.
was a professional gamer before he stumbled across these articles and then came to the conclusion that he could not prove to himself that the Earth was round. But person who has no degree, like you were saying before, is just doing research off of these other things.
Right.
But like if you actually talk to a physicist, they shut them down so hard and like with so much ease, but at the same time they're just like, I don't know.
Right.
I think there is a giant ice wall around the edge of the Earth that probably has dinosaurs on the other side or some shit.
And at that point, the only person who can convince them is them.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you're not going to be able. You can't argue with someone who's very, very stubborn about their own beliefs. The only time that they're actually going to change their mindset is if they decide to do it themselves. Because things make sense to different people in different ways,
Yeah. I still think some people are just dumb, but that's just me. We knew this guy.
There's obviously going to be a level in.
I mean, you could probably argue that it was laziness, but like what comes to my mind is Christmas. The guy
Sure.
that we went to college with, Nathan, Christmas.
Carol?
Yeah. So did you know he's a lawyer now?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I feel so bad for any of his clients. Okay, so this dude, so we pledged a fraternity together with him, right? And I remember him being like, we had to go get our pledge uniform. So we had to go, and he didn't have a khakis or a blazer, and he was like, how do we get a blazer? And I was like, you go to a store and buy one. And he's like, what size pants do I wear? And I was like, he's like, what size pants do I need? And I was like, how the fuck do I know what size pants you need, man? What size do you wear? And then one day his room was flooding. Our dorm was flooding, right? And he sat there and watched his room just flooding. The water level was rising. His shit was getting ruined. He waited until the whole room was flooded and then just went, fuck! He had like 10 minutes to pick up his shit, move it out of the way. But he just sat there and just watched all of his shit get ruined in a slow rise. Like, this took like 10 minutes. Like, it wasn't like a flash flood. It was like a slow fucking rising.
Dude,
like,
living with him for a year was such an awkward thing, man.
Oh
Like,
my God.
he would do, is it a whippet when you like, suck turn an air duster upside down? He would do that shit, like huff air, keyboard cleaner stuff. And there was one time I was taking a nap and then he did some of that and was like gonna go out. And he came back in and he like ran over and jumped on me, like while I was in bed. And I'm just, what the fuck? You're like, what are you doing? And he just got this panicked look on his face. He didn't say anything, and then just slowly like backed up and left the room. And then I was just like, what is she like? And that was just like stuff that happened, like living with him. And
he may not be stupid. He may just be brain damaged, honestly. Like
when he came back later, he told me he thought I was another one of our friends who was sleeping in my bed, and that was why he jumped on. But I mean, like, what other good stories are there with him? Oh yeah, he had a pet mouse that lived in his desk for a while.
Oh my god!
It just shat everywhere.
Yeah, it shat everywhere, and it got out and like got in the walls.
That's funny.
Yeah,
actually, that's disgusting, but you know,
it was nasty. Yeah.
It's like one of those people that like you hear the stuff they do or say, and it makes you scratch your head. You're just like, why would you do that?
Right.
Yeah.
Nice guy. Just
yeah, nice enough. Yeah. But yeah, Chad, if you have any questions about anxiety, you can definitely put them in.
That's what our discussion was about.
Anyone joining late, we've talked about panic and anxiety. These two gave their stories on it. So I guess one thing we did discuss is like what all can you do? Like what's helped you guys with this? And then I can give some pointers on some stuff I know that like I tell my clients, but like
this is probably counterintuitive, but now that I'm single, that period where I was like crushingly depressed, no anxiety, man. Okay. Pretty nice. So yeah, like I'm not a depressed person. But like, yeah, I do get anxious about shit, whether I'm thinking about it or not. It's just kind of like it seems to be that's the way my dad is, in the way like his grandpa. You know, like it seems like it kind of runs the family a little bit. It can go to he really doesn't like being in like loud places around a lot of people and stuff. He just kind of shuts down. And I'm the same way. But yeah, like after my wife moved out, like, you know, I got really depressed and I had no anxiety whatsoever. And I was like, you know what? This is actually a pretty sweet. This is like, if anything, this is like the best part of it, which I know is like a weird way to come out of something. But like when you feel that way, it distracts your brain. You can actually like kind of see that things you were worried about like aren't worth worrying about. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense. It's like keeping your brain active so that you're just like not focusing on like the negative per se.
Yeah. So your advice is get
that's why I said
depressed, and then
that's what I said. This isn't a very good example, but it's just kind of ironic like how that worked. Like I just mean that I became so focused on something else that I didn't have time to feel anxious. And then I was able to see through that the things I was worried about weren't actually problems.
So to synthesize that in a more like adaptive method would be maybe like distractions or finding things to like occupy yourself with instead of sitting there ruminating on the things you're worrying about. In your case, it was depression, but like,
worst case scenario.
Okay, yeah, distractions are good, especially if it's stuff that worrying about won't fix. Like I always tell some clients, like some anxiety is it's natural and it can be helpful. Like for instance, if you have no job, right, and you're about to be evicted, maybe you should be a little worried about that, and that could be used as motivation. Now, if you're worrying about a bear jumping through your window and mauling you to death, maybe that's not something you need to worry about. And then maybe a distraction could be a good thing to do.
Yeah, it's a good kick in the ass because I felt like my anxiety came at a pretty good time to a point where things needed to change in my life. Things needed to change in my lifestyle. So anxiety kind of pushed me into that direction. But at the same time, I think something else that it taught me was self-care and staying on top of your self-care.
Self-care is a huge one.
And when I mean self-care, I mean maintaining things that make you happy. Make sure you're constantly doing things that make you happy. I don't mean self-care like, oh, you need to go to the gym. No, you go to the fucking gym when you feel like going to the fucking gym. Like you exercise when you feel like exercising. But most importantly, you need to do things that help you feel good. You need to do things that make you happy. So make sure you're doing things that are releasing serotonin, do things that are stimulating the vagus nerve. If you don't know where to start, you can always start by meditating or doing a guided meditation. That's a good way to start because stimulating your vagus nerve is super helpful.
Yeah, that's what they talk about, like, the controlled breathing
Right.
helps. It just helps change up your circadian rhythm. Well, not your circadian rhythm, but just like the rhythm that your body's in. It helps it just de-stress, decompress.
Yeah, and you can actually feel it. You can feel the chills. You can feel the chills come, and you know that your vagus nerve is being stimulated.
Any of those like relaxations are good, like progressive muscle, guided imagery, because there's like real connection, like we kind of like highlighted today between your mind and your body. If your body's tense as shit and anxious is how you're going to be anxious. So the idea is if you can calm the body, it'll help calm the mind, which is why a lot of the times we do like relaxation exercises. We haven't really talked at all about thoughts. Because like it seems like for you two, your anxiety was more physiological. You felt anxious and tense in your body. You didn't have like racing anxious thoughts or like fears.
But that's how it starts though. That's how it starts. When you start to have these racing thoughts in your head. I mean, when you're thinking, "Oh, there's something wrong with me," that's how it starts.
Mm-hmm. First panic attack I ever had, I remember I was 23. And like I said, I never had one before at that point. At least if I did, it wasn't to the point where I'd actually be like worried about it or whatever. But it was the end of the summer, and like every summer, I crashed with friends just like in their living room for like the whole time. And then I would go back to college in the fall. So there was one summer where the guy I was staying with, they were moving out of their place, and so we had to find another place to live for like a month and a half. And we ended up finding this house with some other dudes that went to Virginia Tech, but they had all moved out except for one guy. Except we only saw him the day that we moved in. And then later, the water got cut off, power got cut off, because he just stopped paying the bills. Right. So we didn't have water for 9 days. We didn't have power for 3 days. I had to like find other people to crash with because it's summer. It's just too hot. Like you can't sleep in a house that's 90 degrees. A sheriff came by, like looking for the dude. Hippie on a bicycle that worked for the town came by to give us a notice that the grass was too long, and like all that stress combined just like put me over the top. Like I got to work and like I didn't know what was going on, but like I was just like freaking the fuck out, and I was just like I can't be here. Like I tried really hard to come to work, but like I just can't do it. And I left and I just drove around for like 2 hours until like I felt better, and then I just went home. But like that is a very good example of like kind of being like guided into it, not necessarily like because of what you're thinking about. It's just so many outside stressors, and eventually like your brain can't like maintain everything that's going on. It's just too much.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I think challenging your thought process. I mean, I know we talk about this a lot when we work together, Don. Is challenging your thoughts. Like if you're like in a negative state of mind, you kind of want to challenge why you're in a negative state of mind.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, especially like and not all like anxiety inducing thoughts are irrational, but like a lot of the times they are.
Right.
So it's good. Yeah, so it's good to challenge them, and I can actually pull up.
Like a quick example is, oh my God, I'm having a heart attack. It's like, well, why do you think you're having one? Is there a reason that you're going to have one? Oh, there you go.
Bam. Yeah. Yeah, and like we actually talked about that example of the heart attack. I feel like we can't see anyone here. Until we reference this, I'm gonna like.
To be honest, a lot of the things that used to be wrong with my heart did feel like a heart attack. Like I would get a stabbing pain like behind my sternum. It would give me a headache. But like, I don't know what the hell's going on.
Oh yeah, I know. And like we said earlier, most people who have panic attacks think it's a heart attack and they're dying.
Yeah.
For the first one, and that's the first person to normally identify like panic attacks is the ER doctor, not a therapist normally.
Right.
But
Yeah,
like,
they give me some intravenous Xanax, let me calm down, give me some fluids,
yeah, and they're like, you're
send you
actually
on your
fine.
way.
Yeah. So we were saying earlier, one way you could challenge that is doing an experiment. Am I actually having, oh, I can't breathe. Well, let's test that. Can you actually breathe? Do some extra,
Right.
do some exercise. Man, this style is making me burp. Um, and then yeah, but like so, like someone in chat. No, it's not someone. It's my wife, Dinphasia. In chat wanted us to debate. Do you want me to debate with you? Debate with the panel? Thought stopping as a coping mechanism. And I've talked with her about thought stopping before, and I think she thinks it's like hocus pocus or bullshit.
So
Stopping?
Thought stopping. Yeah.
could you define thought stopping?
Yeah, can you define that?
Yeah. So thought stopping, it's a intervention that you can do if you're having uncontrollable ruminating thoughts. Like if
Okay.
you like, let's imagine you have a test. Oh no. Okay, you already took the test. You're waiting to get the grade back or the results back, right? Okay, she wants us to talk about it, not debate with her. Okay.
Sure.
Your comment said, let's debate thought stopping as a mechanism. I assumed you were wanting me to debate with you. Anyway, we've done that enough anyway. So you take a test, whether it's like blood work or whatever type of test you want to imagine, a school test. You're waiting on the results to come back or your grade. You're just sitting there in your room. Fuck, I think I failed. Shit, I think I failed. I don't think I did well on this. Or, oh my God, something bad's happening. Thought stopping is a technique you use. You literally stop the thought in the moment, and this can look something like, oh my God, I don't think I passed. Oh my God. You then say, Dontoni, stop. And then you replace the thought with something else. So you literally, in your head or out loud, you tell yourself to stop or shut up or like whatever you need to do to get your brain to stop, and then you change the thought process. Because you can control what you think, right?
For the most part.
For the most part. So
I think it's easier said than done.
Oh, it is, and it takes practice. But this is you could Google it, CBT thought stopping. It's an evidence-based intervention. I'm not just putting
Yeah.
But it's not the easiest thing in the world. Sometimes you may have to stop multiple times. Like you may tell yourself to stop and then replace it with like, let's go see what's on TV. And then if your brain kicks into it again, you tell yourself again, stop, replace. There's actually two trains of thought. So a lot of therapists nowadays are saying not to try to challenge thoughts anymore, but to accept the thought as it is and imagine it like a balloon passing overhead.
Yeah.
Like, so there's different schools of thought,
thinking.
but like CBT, the traditional CBT would argue that you should challenge the core beliefs and thoughts and replace them. Because a lot of the times these anxiety-inducing thoughts are grounded in some sort of belief about yourself. So like a lot of irrational thoughts of like, these people don't like me, they're judging me. Maybe it's really more so a belief in yourself and not being adequate enough. So like there's different like ways to,
I also I think that could be really good for certain things, but I also feel like it really depends on what the thought is. Whether it's like more rational versus like, for instance, I'm going to go back to my wife because it's still recent. Like I'm not all fucked up about it anymore, but like those first 2 days, I couldn't shut my brain off, like at all. Like I could not think to myself, but I couldn't stop the thoughts that would come into my head. Is the best way to put it. Like I always refer to it as like the hind brain, like when random songs pops into your head, and you're just like, why am I thinking? It's I had nothing to do with that. Like I don't think, I think thought stopping is really good for like what you're talking about, where like you gotta stop worrying about this test. It's gonna be okay, but like in terms of like maybe like more serious things, it doesn't help you deal with the problem. Like if there is an actual problem, you're not addressing what's actually going on.
100% agree. Yeah, like, and I kind of said earlier the example of like, if you're jobless, rent is coming up. Maybe you should be a little anxious about that and focus on it and not just thought stop and push that can down the road, you know? You also don't want to repress things. So like in your example, at some point you have to deal with that situation, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's not for everyone, and that's actually what Dinphasia said in chat, is that she doesn't think it's hocus pocus, it just doesn't work for everyone. And it doesn't. I mean, you're right. Not everything does work for everyone, and that's why there's other interventions and techniques out there. That's just one of them in your tool belt.
Yeah. that's just really hard to do though, because when your situation is revolved around that one thought, you know, like let's say you're getting a test result back, right? I mean, that's something that if you're anxious about it, and that's something you're anxious about.
Mm-hmm.
Your
It'll bleed
anxiety,
into everything.
yeah, that your anxiety is completely revolved around that test result. So it's hard to just go, all right, I'm gonna stop. You know, because
Well, it's not just that you say I'm going to stop. You stop and then you
right,
actively think about other things. And that could also involve like finding something to take your mind off it. So in the test result example, all the worrying in the world is not going to get that test result quicker, right?
Or
right,
change the result.
All it does is
right,
stifle you in the present over the future, which you can't fucking
sure,
control. So,
sure,
like, the idea there is instead of sitting in your room building up an ulcer by ruminating on this, you would tell yourself stop and then maybe read a book or go exercise or do something that your
Mm-hmm.
mind can't focus on the impending. But in an example like, something that you could actively do something about, thought stopping may
right,
not be the best because instead you're procrastinating instead of doing something to change what could happen.
right,
If that makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
A
I've
lot of
always
times. Oh, go ahead.
No,
no,
go ahead.
I've always just like over the past few months, I let those thoughts pass.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like I challenge it, yes, but I also just let them pass. I tell myself it's like, you know what, I'm gonna be thinking about this stuff for a while. Just accept those thoughts, and they're eventually the more you think about it, you're gonna strip the fear from it. Because when you think about these things initially, they're gonna freak you out. But the more you think about it, and if you allow those thoughts and nothing is happening, your thoughts are just thoughts. They're going to go away. They're going to lose its power, and they're eventually just going to pass.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's
So,
how I see it.
so one kind of, and I don't know if this is what you're describing or not, but like my mind goes two places there is that
Sure.
like one, you could systematically desensitize yourself to those thoughts, which is kind
Hmm.
of like exposure therapy ish in a way, which is what you do for like phobias and things like that. So
Sure.
if you pair those anxious thoughts with like a state of relaxation, the more exposure to the thought in theory would desensitize that like physiological response to it.
Right.
Um, the other thing that I was wondering about it too is when you have those anxiety inducing thoughts of something you can't control, do you literally just like what if the thought just keeps coming and coming? Do you just lay there for hours with that thought letting it happen? Because to me that seems like torture too, right? Like I never understood that idea of like imagine the thought is just like a cloud passing overhead. What if it's like a thunderstorm that's just going and going and going and going and like it doesn't go away?
So I honestly just, I mean, it's never been to that extent. It's never been to an extent where it's just thundering that hard with those thoughts. Like when I think about certain when I had this health related anxiety, I would think about these thoughts and they would make me a little anxious. They'd get me worried, but I wouldn't have a full blown panic attack over it.
Mm-hmm.
And my panic attacks, or I should say anxiety attacks, because they weren't really that severe, but my anxiety attacks would come when I least expected it. Is when I felt something I didn't feel before. And my body would, or my mind would immediately think, oh shit, what is that?
Mm-hmm.
But eventually after I experienced it the first time, if I experienced it like an anxiety attack the first time because I just got super anxious about something, whatever it is, I honestly I just sit in it until it goes away.
So
You know,
you
and
do
then
more of the like DBT approach of like self-soothing and like knowing that like emotions are like waves and like the wave will come and the wave will go and you just have to learn to cope in that like ride the wave kind
right.
of mentality.
It's
Yeah.
getting back to like that equilibrium. In the heat of my like panic attacks after like I first moved here, I would say I had one like every morning when I first went to work at this new job, just because like I worked in a medical setting, but I didn't work in like a research setting. So a lot of it, like, it's all the same basic stuff, but it's still completely different. And so I just kept freaking the fuck out, like just from being at work. And like when I reached the heat of, not the heat, like the height of my panic problems, like There's one day I got to work, and then I went in, and then I was feeling anxious, but not about anything in particular. Like, just existing was like kind of painful at that point. And I went up to my office, and then the undergrad that I worked with came in. He just started talking to me, and that was all it took. It pushed me completely over the edge. And like when my panic attacks were that bad, it's the only time I've ever actually thought about killing myself because it's that mentally painful. Like it's the oddest thing. Like I don't really know how to describe it unless you've been through it, but like existing is just sheer torture, and yet nothing's really happening. Yeah. And so like I left work and I drove and I sat in my car outside of a hospital ER in case it was bad enough that I needed to go in. And luckily I was able to get an appointment with my doctor that day, and he gave me some lorazepam, which is like Xanax but a little bit better. And even then, like I don't like taking that stuff just in general. Like I got oxycodone when I threw out my back, and I still have like 2/3 of the bottle. Like I just, it's not my thing anymore. It definitely was when I was younger, but like I just don't like taking that stuff. And I was like, I've got to get back. I've tried taking SSR antidepressants twice. Like I'm not depressed. I just have really bad anxiety.
Right.
And
a lot of those are prescribed for anxiety too, though.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. They help help you keep that equilibrium. Yeah. So like I went back to the doctor, and like the other two I had tried before, they just totally fucked with my system. Like it was awful. I felt terrible. Like you feel like there's just something that's not right. Right. But the third one I tried was like gold. Like I feel like a million times better now, and I haven't had to deal with that like since then.
Yeah. For me, it was just fear of fear. I think it was just that sense of impending doom all day. Yeah. Like any second of that day, you feel as if you could just keel over and die.
Yeah.
That's how it felt. Like it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. It's about to happen. It's about to happen. And it's fucking terrifying. It's fucking torture. And that's. I read somewhere that that's like a glitch in our DNA. Like we shouldn't. Like that shouldn't happen.
Well, like at the same. Sorry, I was gonna say at the same time, like the average human back in the day before medicine died around 27 to 30, and it was because of tooth-related issues.
Right.
Like we really are outliving our expectations.
Right.
Which is a huge problem because we weren't really meant to live as long as we do now. So that's why I feel like a lot of people don't start to have a lot of these problems until they're in their late 20s.
And I think anxiety serves like an evolutionary, like it had like a purpose that maybe is like not necessarily like needed anymore. And I think we talked about this one other episode, but kind of like, why are there some universal fears that we have as humans? Like fear of the dark, fear of spiders, fear of snakes. Because our ancient ancestors shouldn't go out in the dark because you don't see at night and there's shit out there that'll eat you. You know what I mean? Why are we afraid naturally of like spiders? Right. Well, because our ancestors a long time ago learned these things can fucking kill you. So that's why, you know what I mean? Like, so a lot of our like phobias and fears and anxiety, I feel like served a very important survival. But now that we're at this point in our like evolution, we don't necessarily fucking need it anymore, and it goes haywire and off the charts, which we don't need anymore.
Right, and it's so unexplained. You know, it's like when are we ever going to be hunted by lions? When is that day ever going to come again? Probably not anytime soon. It might happen again. I don't know, but not anytime soon.
It's 2020, man. Nothing's off the off the table anymore.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I didn't watch Tiger King, but I still remember. Seeing a meme with like a lion sitting on someone's roof and the caption being like, "My surplus check won't come down."
You should watch Tiger King because it's fucking funny as shit, and it'll make you feel better about your situation in life.
There's no way I could financially recover from this.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it will always make you feel better about your situation in life. Kind of like watching like the Wild Whites of West Virginia.
Oh God, dude.
Yeah. You can't watch that.
It's still on Netflix, man.
Yeah, we bought it on like Amazon because it was we wanted to be able to watch it. Because anytime we're down and feeling bad about ourselves, watch those sort of movies and you're like, it could be worse.
Yeah,
I don't a pill bottle, so I can't recreate the West Virginia mating call.
I got my
Oh,
bottle of
dude.
melatonin here.
Oh man.
That's the Boone County mating call. But
But
yeah,
dude, at the same time, like, ugh, one state over.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But
Yeah. But do
now
we
I'm close to Florida.
do we think like thought stopping actually works?
So I mean, it does for some things, and it is. I mean, it's an empirically evident. I mean, like there are studies that show that it does help individuals. I would
Sure.
say it's not used for everything, and maybe it's not good for everyone.
Yeah, I can say it's not for me because those
yeah.
thoughts are going to come back. I can
Yeah.
stop it however many times I want, but those thoughts are going to come back. So I just need to let it run its course. That's for me.
Yeah.
That's my theory.
Yeah. And everyone's different, right? Like, again,
Right.
like, and that's also why. So, like, depending on what therapist you talk to, they would also have different interventions. So, if they're psychoanalytic, they may not even tell you to even think about your thoughts at all. They're going to want to dive deep in you about, like, your subconscious and your early childhood experiences and, like, how you were raised by your mother
Give a
or
more
father.
root thing.
Yeah, if they're like, you know what I mean? So like different, like an existential therapist would maybe think that your anxiety could be rooted in like an existential crisis that you're having. Like, there's different, like, so basically, depending on the kind of therapist and what their own like theoretical orientation is, they would have different prescriptions for you. But there's like, I mean, you could do some research on thought stopping. There's other techniques, like one is stopping the thought and then doing positive self-talk, which is kind of what you were describing a little bit, color proof, about like, I know I'm not actually dying. I'm healthy. My doctors told me I'm fine. It'll be okay. That's a form of thought stopping because you're taking that negative thought of like, oh shit, I'm dying. And you're telling yourself, no, you're really not dying. Like, you know, this is just anxiety. It'll pass.
You're critically thinking your way out of the box, basically.
Yeah,
Right.
which is a form of stopping the thought because you're stopping it and replacing it with, you know, a more rational alternative.
Yeah, exactly. It's really just thinking rationally.
Which is
Like,
kind of
am I
like
really-
stopping the thought.
Yeah.
You could also, the other thing that we do sometimes, and a lot of the times I have to help clients with this because when you're really anxious, you may not be able to do it yourself. But going down that rabbit hole of, okay, so what's the worst that would happen? Okay, now where would that lead you? Where would that lead you? And a lot of the times you find that like the anxiety is really not as bad as it really is
Sure. Yeah.
for a lot of things too.
Like you just build it up way worse than it actually could be. Like you're imagining like the worst case scenario, but the worst case scenario is like, you know, the same odds as winning the lottery or something.
Yeah. Or like, you know, so like a lot of the times like someone will be anxious, like so and so doesn't like me, or like this person is like judging me. So okay, so what if that's true? Well, then they won't like me. Okay, and then what does that mean? They just don't like me. Okay. Can you come back from this? You know, like those sort of things. Like it's really not as big of a deal. Now that example may not work into I think I'm dying. What's the worst that could happen? Well, I could die. Okay, well that's pretty shitty. All right, fine. But
Then
like
you get out of 2020.
and then you get out of 2020 and then you don't have to deal with this shit anymore.
And you don't have to pay your bills anymore.
There you go.
I mean,
You don't have to
the
worry
whole
about
reason-
waking up.
The whole reason we're here is because some asshole fish decided to walk out of the water,
That is true.
and now we all have to pay rent to go to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those two idiots decided to have sex 36 years ago.
Yeah, damn you. But yeah, I mean, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is there's no one answer that'll work for everyone, but there are, like, empirically validated things that do help. I think a universal thing is relaxation, stress management. Like, if you're prone to anxiety, you want to, like, maintain regular sleep, eating, self-care, all those sort of things.
It's like you were saying, there's no one way. There's like multiple ways to get to the same place. You just have to find one that works for you. And it's the same thing with like I was saying with antidepressants. I tried to, and it's just going to depend on your genetics and your brain chemistry to see which one's going to work for you.
Right.
But the one thing that I've been doing a lot more when I get anxious is like, even if I'm at work, it doesn't bother other people. It's like I'll go on YouTube and I'll pull up ambient space music. So, and it was the same kind of thing I would do if I was in college where, and I needed to write a paper, I would pull up some relaxing music that kind of like it keeps your brain going, but it's not distracting you. And it's like, I don't want to say like frequency, but you know, like it's relaxing enough where like you can tell that you just kind of like melt a little bit, where you're not like tensing up. So like it helps your brain relax. Ergo, like you're not thinking about the things that are bothering you, but you can focus on what you.
Right.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's always medication. But, like, I would suggest
Yeah.
trying other things first. Just because anytime you pump, like, psychotropic medication always can have side effects and, you know, can cause changes. Like Nathan was saying, it took him 3 different medications. Some of these medications may make you have suicidal thoughts. You know, some of them. But then when you find the right one for you, it's like, you know, the sky parts and, you know, it works well.
Right. And I think regardless of how strong you think your nerves are, you should always practice self-care. Always do
Absolutely.
something
Mhm.
that makes you smile, that makes you laugh, that really relaxes you. Like find something. Like I haven't meditated in a while, and I'm probably gonna do that tonight because I feel like I need to do that tonight, just to stay on top of it. You know. So
For me, it's clicking on heads.
there you go. There you go.
On them heads. Yeah.
But I feel like sometimes we need something more than that.
Because it's stressful in its own way.
Yeah.
See, that for me, I love it, man. That definitely is like my video games have kind of always been my yeah.
Right.
Well,
I just
see,
think we just need to bring our like truly bring our like our minds to a state of calm. You know, like really just veg out
Oh, I do
and not
plenty of
think
that
about
too.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you
yeah,
really
they're
yeah.
I definitely agree with Don. It just depends on the video game for me, for sure. Because like
Sure.
there have definitely been times where like back in the day, before like my anxiety was too bad, I'd be playing like some horror video game, and I can tell like I'm up here,
Right.
which is like uncomfortable. But like at the same time, I'm just oh, this shouldn't bother me.
Right.
And so like I'd have to quit playing, and you know like I would go from playing like Fear to playing like World of Warcraft. I'm not really gonna be afraid of anything in World of Warcraft. You
Sure.
know, it's more like you can go out and do stuff as leisurely as you want. If you want to go fish, you go fish.
Sure.
If you want to do a raid, you can do a raid. But like, there's no like playing Siege can definitely be stressful, especially in like high tense situations.
Right.
Yeah. I guess it's cathartic for me.
Shooting people in the head.
Yeah.
Take that, Osama.
I mean, I guess it is kind of, you know, like.
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
It's more like the winning and then enjoying like the team atmosphere.
Yeah,
The
it's also
company and
like for me,
stuff.
it's also like a socializing thing, like you're talking about. I mean, like it's you
Yeah.
know, it's where I get to talk with my friends and like you know, yeah. Any last thoughts? I just now looked at the time and realized you've been doing this for like an hour and a half. Chat, do you have any more questions? Comments, concerns, criticisms? You want to tell me my hat's ugly?
I like your hat.
I do too, actually. This hat is not ugly, so I would tell you you're full of shit if you did say that.
No, it's not an ugly hat. I think it's a
This
nice hat.
hat is badass. Got it.
You've been
in
wearing those
Vegas.
hats since you're like 16 years old.
I know. This one I got in Vegas at some point. I like
Okay.
it. It's a good hat. Yeah. But I would say like the number one thing that I think works for almost everyone is progressive muscle relaxation. It's an amazing relaxation technique. It's good.
Progressive muscle relax.
Have I never sent you videos on that?
I don't think so.
Oh,
actually
yeah,
really
it's
good,
really good. So like it's a relaxation, like mindfulness technique where it guides you through tensing and then relaxing muscles, and it goes like throughout your body. It's really good. And with any of those, you want to practice them when you're not fully anxious because it's like you want to master the skill when you're calm. So when you are anxious, you could then implement it.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So I have people like my clients. I tell almost all my clients, honestly, I tell them to practice that like morning and night.
Dude, I remember when we were in college, I think I was a sophomore, back when I still had like tons of piercings and crap. Like, I know like doctors are skeptical, but like there were definitely times where like I went where I really could do something and they didn't help because they thought that I was just there trying to get drunk. And like I get it, you know, especially being in like Southwest Virginia, but like I was sleeping like 3 or 4 hours a day for like weeks, and like I couldn't sleep. I went to the on campus doctor, and she told me I should just try to do that. And I was just like, this. I think I'm past that at this point.
It works. It's really good. I mean, it's a good technique. It works well. I'll send you a video after this on it. It kind of guides you through it.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's a good one. Well, if chat doesn't have anything, do you want to like wrap up? Do you have anything else to say?
Oh man, I don't have anything else to say. Just self-care. Let the anxiety hit you. Let your body know that there's nothing wrong. There's no threat. Nothing's happening. Just sit with the anxious thoughts. Sit with the anxious feelings. Let them happen. Let your mind and your body know that there's no threat if there really isn't. If you're really not in danger. Other than that, you'll get through it. My 2 cents.
Yeah.
Like if you just keep squashing things instead of dealing with them, they're just going to keep coming back.
Definitely.
Stop fighting the anxiety. It's not there to kill you. It's there to keep you safe. It's just false alarms. It's just freaking out. That's all.
I think false alarms is a good way to think of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
And some things are worth being anxious about, but like, yeah, that's a whole kind of other topic that we've already talked about in this episode.
Yeah.
So to spare redundancy, I am not going to repeat that. You can watch the VOD, people, if you missed it. It'll be up. And
there you go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, actually, I am going to link in chat progressive muscle relaxation for anyone that's curious. I would just play the video for you all, but like copyright, I didn't make the video, so I don't want to just like play it because I feel like I'll get dinged for copyright infringement.
Yeah, better safe than sorry.
And I don't want that. But this is my favorite one that I just linked in chat. I like this one because it literally so it's a video of a CGI human with like no skin, and it shows all the muscle groups, and it guides you through and shows you what to actually do. Like some of the videos will just be like a picture of like a pretty forest and it'll tell you what to do, but this one actually physically shows you, like, you know, and it's a good one. I like that one. But I can text it to you, Nathan, if you want that later. I can send it to you.
That sounds good.
Word. All right. Well, thanks everyone for coming. I'm gonna do a quick plug. So, if anyone likes powdered energy drink supplements, right, you should give Clutch a try. It's small business. I know the owners. They're really nice. I actually have a giveaway going on where you enter it, you get a chance to win like a $5, $10, $15 gift card, and then they're also doing a giveaway for $25 or $50. So if you like those kind of things, give it a shot. It's that link there.
Is he sponsoring us?
He sponsors me.
Okay, well, he's not sponsoring me.
Wow. It's on my stream.
Hey man, you gotta get in and get that cheddar.
I mean, we can change that.
I can talk to them about sponsoring my games.
I've heard nothing but good things from other gamers about Clutch. To give my 2 cents.
I can talk to them about sponsoring mine games. Yeah, maybe I should have discussed this before hijacking on that. But the cat is out of the bag, so I said it. It's there. Ask for forgiveness, not permission. And there we are. So we'll be back next week. Hopefully we'll have a guest. We're still kind of finalizing all that, but
it's gonna be a really cool guest if we can lock them in.
Yeah.
Very, very cool guest next week if we can lock them in.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll let you know later when everything is set in stone.
And thank you to Nathan for coming today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, man.
It was a lot of fun hanging out with you guys.
Yeah, that was lots of fun. I'm glad I'm able to like relate to someone on that level because
I know what you mean.
I know it happens to so many people, but I really wanted to talk to someone else, like a talk like this with someone else that can be like, I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly how you felt. You know what I mean? So,
and it's such a weird thing to like experience like over and over.
And that's, I think, like ultimately like why support groups are so effective is because like I think when people go through these things, they feel like they're alone, like no one else could possibly be going through this, but like really, I don't have the number in front of me, but I feel like it's like almost like 9% of the population at some point in their life will have anxiety disorders. I'm pretty sure it's like 9%.
Right.
Throughout a lifetime. So like at any given moment, I think it's like 4% at any given moment. But like the chance throughout your life that you'll have some sort of anxiety issue, it's like 1 in 10. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think most people will experience anxiety. I just think the level that Nathan and I experience is not your garden style not your garden variety anxiety. I mean, it is like a full blown. You're fucking terrified of something.
Oh well, I was saying 1 in 10 for a disorder. So meeting enough, meeting a high enough criteria to like significantly impact your life in some manner. Well, I have the DSM here. Let me corroborate what I just said. Lifetime morbid
you always
risk.
have that handy.
Lifetime morbid risk is 9%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Morbid risk?
Yeah. Not like it's gonna kill you, but that like
like not to stick around forever. Is that what it's saying?
No, it's basically saying like within one's lifetime, you have a 9% chance of having a generalized anxiety. Yeah.
An era.
Okay.
12 month prevalence is up to 3.6%.
Right.
So yeah, I mean I was kind of close, about almost 4% any given year of the population with it. Females are twice as likely as males to have it as well.
Huh.
Yeah. Panic disorder is different. I don't feel like pulling it back out and finding that number, but I'm sure it's comparable.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anxiety and panic are like almost synonymous, really.
Mm-hmm.
I say panic is just like a further, I don't know, like, the undefined threshold between like being uncomfortable and then just being like, this is just your torture.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Well, we're going to sign off. Thank you all for coming.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, fun.
And we will see you all next week.
See you guys.
Bye.